what's up, guys? Welcome back to Between the Pylons. I'm John Camacho. Thank you so much for watching. And guys, today we are breaking down the Super Bowl champion Buccaneers draft class. And it's got to be nice to go into the draft returning all your starters from your past Super Bowl. You got Tom Brady playing at the top of his game still. It's got to be fun to be a Buccaneers fan. It's got to be fun to be drafting in that front office where you can really do no wrong in this draft. But we are going to break it down. We'll talk about their first 3 rounds. We'll talk about some of my grades at the end. Let's dive into it with their overall draft class here. Grabbing Kyle Trask in the second round, I think got the most buzz probably just because, grabbing a quarterback. Is this a successor to Tom Brady? Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Got a Joe Tryon, edge rusher out of Washington. Got a guard out of Notre Dame who I think really, has the chance to really play all over that offensive line. We'll talk about him as well. A Jalen Darden, a speed demon out of North Texas. That's a guy who they traded up for, and I really like that trade up. Really like that player a whole lot. I got some pieces, man. At the end of the day, you can actually say they didn't have any needs because they won the Super Bowl with this roster last year. I would have said cornerback, maybe adding some depth there. Their cornerbacks played out of their mind last year, certainly outperformed what I was expecting. But do you have that growth? Do you go up to the next level and really improve on yourself, or do they take a step back this year? We'll see. Or hey, if they play the same, that's fine too. That's an option as well. I think at the end of the day, what else is there to say? Let's get right into it with a Joe Tryon, edge rusher out of Washington. He did sit out this past year. That he was one of those guys. Obviously goes 32 overall, so he was just right on that edge there of a first round pick. And I think that was part of the conversation with a Joe Tryon for a while. Was he going to go first round? Where was he going to go in the second? Dude has all of the physical tools you need. Has great length, great size, good speed. All of those things is a big plus. Apparently he's been working on his mechanics and all these things for the past year while he was out of football in the 2020 season. So you hope that's true. You hope he really just dove into everything he's done. I read an interview talking about him in preparation for this video, and it was talking about how all of his pass rush moves, he really tried to utilize his length. So a lot of stab moves and things like that to utilize that, and I thought that was really interesting. Really playing to his strength there because he does have a lot of length. And you look at that roster, they have a Shaquille Barrett, they have a Jason Pierre-Paul, so he will be in the rotation. He's not going to be a starter year one, but Jason Pierre-Paul is entering that last year of his contract. So this is probably the most pressing future need for the Bucks, and they address it in the first round there with a Joe Tryon. Moving on to the second round, they do grab probably the most intriguing pick in this draft with a Kyle Trask, the last pick of the second round. There's been a lot of reports, really cool reports about Tom Brady really already kind of taking him under his wing and things like that. You gotta love that. Kyle Trask, for all the things, negative things that I said in the lead up to the draft, I wasn't a big Kyle Trask guy. I didn't even think he would go second. Ends up being the only quarterback to go second, and just barely, I might add. But I did see some positives there. He can make every throw. I don't think he has a special arm by any means. I don't. And he's not somebody who I would consider mobile by any means. But you look at what Bruce Arians likes. He doesn't need a mobile guy. He needs a bigger guy that can stand in the pocket and make the throws down the field. And Kyle Trask can do that, right? Kyle Trask was really good at throwing the seam route. He was really good at standing in the pocket. He wasn't super mobile. I would have argued he was kind of like a Carson Wentz circa 2020. Carson Wentz couldn't really move in 2020. He reminded me of a Carson Wentz a little bit, just kind of lumbering and things like that, right? So that was kind of like my little player comp for his movement skills outside of the pocket. So listen, I think it's a good pick for what Bruce Arians likes. Will he ever start? I don't know. We'll see. Will Tom Brady ever retire? Probably not, honestly. It probably won't even matter. At the end of the day, I think this is a very low risk pick for the Bucks. Again, as I said at the beginning of the year, this draft didn't matter for the Bucks. The Bucks could not fuck this up. They won the Super Bowl. They brought all their players back in free agency. This draft, I mean, if you got just a couple guys that end up being playmakers or being contributors in 2022, 2023 seasons, you hit this draft out of the park. That's all you needed to do. value, get some contributors later on, and really at that point, nobody's going to be going back and looking at this draft. So they cannot do any wrong. There's no misstep they could make. So hey, draft best player available, and if they're the best player on the board was Kyle Trask in the second round, or they felt like they wanted to grab somebody to at least play behind a Tom Brady, learn from him and things like that, and could develop into a starter, hey, you gotta love the upside there. There's a premium upside in the second round. You gotta love that. And then moving on to their pick in the third round, they get a Robert Hainsbury out of Notre Dame. This is a guy who played tackle at Notre Dame. He was the right tackle at Notre Dame, and then he goes to Senior Bowl, moves to guard, and apparently, Bruce Arians really liked the fact that he was willing to move to different positions. This is a guy who I think is going to be positionally versatile a little bit. Now, the thing that was weird to me, kind of going and seeing, they took a guard in the third round. I would have told you going into this draft, I would have told you, and I still will, probably the best interior offensive line in the league. Which team has a better interior offensive line than the combination of a Ryan Jensen, an Ali Marpet, and an Alex Kappa at center? I mean, I really think that's probably the best interior offensive line you're going to get. They drafted a Tristan Wirfs last year out of Iowa. So, and I'll be honest, off the top of my head, I don't know their other tackles position. I know 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. I know they brought him back this year if he wasn't already on roster, and I know that offensive line was damn good. So there wasn't a pressing need on the offensive line, but I would have said the interior was not going to be the need. So this is a guy really, I mean, you got him in the third round. He's going to be a backup. He's going to be, a supplemental guy at some point. Hopefully he doesn't have to come in. Hopefully you stay healthy on that offensive line. I don't think year 1 he starts. I think this is, again, a year 2, year 3 type of move to maybe not have to pay one of these bigger names, or we'll see what happens, But I don't think a guy that starts year 1. I really don't. Let's move on to some of my final thoughts. I'm going to give you my best and worst move and my grades. My best move was trading up in the 4th round to go grab a Jalen Darden. Jalen Darden out of North Texas. This is just a speed demon type of guy who I think is going to add an element to that offense. If not this year, again, maybe next year, maybe the year after that. I think he has some real potential to be at the very worst. I think this is one of your gadgety type of wide receivers that can do a lot of different things. At the best, I mean, he might be a staple of your offense and really be stretching the field down the field. You never know exactly how they'll use him, but I do think he's a very interesting player that I'm really excited for. You traded up and really gave up very limited value. Put the trade breakdown on the board. You gave up a 6th round pick and to trade up in the 4th. I mean, very, very limited resource to go up and get a wide receiver that they obviously valued. I think that was a great move, just adding another weapon for Tom Brady. So that was my favorite move. Worst move, listen, and this is super nitpicky. Honestly, where am I going to honestly complain? I have a very serious complaint, but super nitpicky. I did like Kellen Mond more than Kyle Trask. I did. Kyle Trask was not my guy coming in this round. Now, again, I talked about it in, when I was talking about Kyle Trask. I think that's the perfect fit for him. I think he fits the Bruce Arians offense, honestly, better than a Kellen Mond did. So really, I'm looking in a vacuum. I would have taken Kellen Mond over a Kyle Trask. I didn't value Kyle Trask that much. I really didn't. So the fact that he went in the second, the fact that he was, the start of that next tier of quarterbacks to go off the board, yeah, certainly surprising to me. It wasn't my guy. I'm not going to lie to you. But I talked about how he fits on that offense. It's a super nitpicky worst move in a draft. I don't hate anything about their draft. I really don't. Moving on to my grades, and I usually break it down into 3 different categories, and I'm going to again today, but I have the exact same grade for all 3 categories, so I'm going to put it all on the board right now. I'm giving it all a B+. Players, I like all the players you got. I do have questions about Kyle Trask, but again, that doesn't really matter. He's not going to start for another couple of years anyway, and the development will be a big part of his game. So very minor complaint, but overall B+. Very good players that they got. Draft value, I think they got good value. I think on all their picks, even a Kyle Trask, very good value. I mean, you get a quarterback in the second round that's going to develop behind a Tom Brady. That's the range you should grab one. Very good value there. And then needs, they didn't have any. So of course you're going to get a B+. I'm not going to give you an A for a category that doesn't apply to you. You didn't have any needs, so you just grabbed some future needs, and I think they did a good job of at least grabbing good developmental pieces that have high upside and probably going to start on your team in the years to come. I'll put it that way. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Nothing more to say about the Buccaneers team or their draft. They did a really good job this year. Thank you so much for watching. watching. Like I said, please like, subscribe, all of those things. Pretty close to 1,000. That's my benchmark. I'm really excited to get there. So if you could help me out there and hit that sub, help me get over that 1K hurdle, I would very much appreciate it. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace.